Hello Booktube, and yes, this is the Booktube Newbie Tag, the long awaited and much called for after my first 5 videos. And no, I kind of wanted to do about 5 videos before I attempted the Booktube Newbie Tag, because I found when I look for, new booktubers that way, I'll find some great people, and then when I click in to see, oh, do they have any other videos, kind of greedy for more, they won't. And I thought, oh, it'd be nice to at least have something there, because I've seen some pretty incredible people just disappear. I know there was one person. Hopefully, she's still out there somewhere. She was for her. She was an Egyptian medical student who was reading the most weird and bizarre books in English, and I thought that I would want to know so much more about that person, what they're reading, what they think about these things. But I mean, I can only imagine the coursework of a medical student is pretty intense. So I wasn't expecting any more videos there. But if you're out there, you know who you are. Don't neglect your studies and your medical career, but it'd be nice to see some more of your thoughts. And also I thought I wanted to get a few videos done myself just to see what it felt like. It was something I was interested in, and we'll see where it goes from there. So the first question in the traditional Booktube Newbie Tag is, why did I start this channel? Part of it was to see if I could. I've watched Booktube for years and years, at least 6 years now. I've been watching it fairly regularly, to the detriment of most other forms of YouTube. I could go back all the way. Yeah, I think I started watching Steve Donahue when he had maybe 1,000 subscribers. That far back in the midst of time. Because there was a period where I thought, just for fun, I wouldn't watch anything on YouTube where if the channel had more than 1,000 subscribers, and it was a really fun little exercise, and I found some incredible stuff, and most of it just rightly so exploded in popularity because it was so great. And then the stuff that was niche was like delightfully niche. Don't ask me about it now, I've long forgotten a lot of those channels, but I do remember it was a lot of fun. So yes, why did I start this channel? Yeah, because it looked like fun. It looked like people were having an awful lot of fun talking about books, learning about new books, yeah, I thought, and I wanted to see, could I do it? Could I sit in front of a camera and say something intelligent or worthwhile that people might also like to hear? So we'll see how it goes. Only you could be the judge of that. What are some fun and unique things you can bring to Booktube? So this is the one where everyone stumbles and everyone says this is the difficult question, and it is, because you have to kind of look at yourself and say, well, what makes me different from all the other 8 or 9 billion people knocking around? And that could be hard to do. I suppose some things that are slightly different about me that you don't see all that much on Booktube. I tend to read quite a bit for work. It's what I'm required to do, but also I'm working on a particular subject. I want to learn more about it, so I will read non-fiction, fiction works, and fiction works around the subject, and kind of build a bit of a tapestry of what's going on. This is something I've started doing more recently. There was a very great person I worked with, and that's what he did, and it just had this great encyclopedic knowledge and was able to connect things together and really have a great understanding of whatever he put his mind to. There were a few people like that actually I was working with, and yeah, got into that habit, and I highly recommend it. I read relatively widely. a lot of non-fiction. Looking at, I don't know why I'm looking at these books. I haven't read these books. The books I read on the Kindle. These are books that I thought I would read. I mean, I've read good portion of them. And yeah, and I again, most people who answer this seem to say, oh, they don't have anyone in their life to talk to about books. I'm very grateful that's not been my experience. My wife is into reading. We read different books. Sometimes we read similar books. I have friends who read a lot. I have friends who've writers, friends who've written plays and put them on and performed them and made money out of it. I've lived in different countries as well, which is, I suppose, something different. I've lived on kind of either end of the world, so I'll let you think about that one for a while. And I have, been friends with people who've read deeply and widely in both of those places, and there's a huge amount I've learned from that. I'm just greedy for more. You know, if everyone else is having great fun talking about books and reading and what they're gaining from it, I'll have that too. So greed is why I'm here. That and wealth and power. What are you most excited about? Is the wealth and the power really of Booktube? But no, seriously, it's the people. There's such a wide variety of people that read different things and read the same things, and this is, social media has done a huge amount of damage to the way people interact. But here's one little thing that seems to have quite a positive impact on a lot of people's lives, and hope to be part of that. And it was also interesting just to kind of doing a few videos beforehand. It's like I didn't know what I didn't know, that there's a whole there's kind of a whole ecosystem out there of kind of smaller Booktube channels that I just wasn't aware of, and that are, you start looking at them, really, really incredible. Going back to that, if it's got more than 1,000 subscribers, I don't want to know, but really, really amazing. Some of these people have left comments on my small little videos, and A.T. Penningham, who has the most decadent visuals. He's the only one here that seems to be making good use of an actual visual medium, and like the really, really great stuff. JJ, the bookworm blacksmith, is an honest to God blacksmith, and how often do you encounter those? And also you have to be very aware. Have to give due respect to blacksmiths, because they're famous for curses. Apparently, if they point their anvil at you and say the curse, you've got pretty poor time ahead. That's the Pishrog anyway, the kind of the folklore that I heard growing up. And also they're the king of the craftsmen, because they're the only ones that can make their own tools. There you go. And Jenny Jables, again, who very, very kindly gave me a shout out on one of her videos, and also mentioned that I should do a Booktube Newbie Tag. So here you go. Thank you very much. You've been very generous. And there's so many more. But it's almost like, don't think you'll take this in an insulting way, but it's like if you're in a garden and you lift up a rock, and suddenly you find out, oh, actually this, what seemed like quite a plain garden, is teeming with life and activity of the most weird and wonderful kind. Like you take a child to the zoo and they go, oh, there's an elephant, so what? But then they'll see a caterpillar and be just fascinated by it. So it's, there's just such a rich ecosystem of readers, and Booktube is just wonderful. That's what I'm most excited about. Why do you love reading? I'm not sure that I do after all that. Um, yeah, I'm not. I don't know. Do I? Why do I love walking? Because I need to get across the room. I need to. I enjoy walking because I love walking because it's the only way I know how to get around on my two legs. Well, running and blah blah blah, swimming blah. But yeah, it's kind of hard to know. Do I love reading? I don't know if I love reading. I certainly love stories. I love learning things. I love the way people write. Maybe all that counts as loving reading, but I don't. I feel like some people like can you sit down with the phone book and read it and like enjoy that you're reading. I don't know, but kind of what's coming across I love, but yeah, so maybe I do. That's the answer to that. What book or series got you into reading? It wasn't a particular book. I was around people that particularly one of my grandparents, my granny, she was a big reader, but more was that she used to tell a lot of stories, so I used to hear a lot of stories when I was small, and I never kind of put the connection between stories and them being written down, but I kind of got, oh, here's a way to get more stories and find out more things. It was like by reading, so that's how I came into that, and I suppose that's why I suppose the beauty of language, the way people talk, the way people write is something that's very much I find very appealing. I suppose you can link that back to what makes me a bit unique for Booktube. So I read poetry, I enjoy it. Not really a huge amount, but I think if you read some, you seem to be in the higher echelons of people who read poetry. But yeah, I really enjoy it. I did one video so far where I talked a bit about R.S. Thomas, the cantankerous Welsh poet, and that is easily my least popular video, and I don't know why. I don't know why that isn't the most popular one. Maybe when I finish that R.S. Thomas book, I'll do a big series, and no one will watch it, but it'll have been worth it doing. Shame on you all. You should be reading R.S. Thomas, or certainly listening to his poems. Where we go? Oh yes, though I do remember the first book I read cover to cover. I was quite late learning to read, but I do remember the first book, and that was a book I never ever hear anyone else talk about, which is Dominic by William Steig. It's about a dog who leaves home on search of adventures, and it is a wild, trippy book. He meets the witch alligator, the alligator witch. He gets a kind of a spear of destiny. He encounters loss and love and the Doomsday Gang. So yeah, that's I read it when I was a very small child, and I didn't read it again until I had children of my own, and I was kind of cautious about it. It's like, well, will this be as good as I remember it? And you know something? It was, and it was in ways that I did not appreciate at the age where I did read it. So yeah, Dominic by William Steig. He also wrote Shrek. What questions would you ask your favourite booktubers? I suppose this is where generally people list out their favourite booktubers, and like all these things that you like or dislike people over time, or what you're interested in gels with some people for a while and either you or they move away, but there's been some very consistent booktubers that I've really enjoyed. I don't like the question, because what questions would you ask them? I don't know. I'd have to be there with them and see where the conversation go. I suppose the question, well, I suppose who the question I'd ask them, what would you like to drink? We'd be in a pub in the west or the rural Ireland, not far from where I am, although I live in the east coast at the moment. Yeah, there's close to a pub has the cheapest Guinness in the country. Maybe go there, or a cafe if they want a coffee, or whatever, and see where the conversation goes. But who I consistently liked is Steve Donoghue. Praise be upon him. Is the booktuber that I think everyone that it seems to fall into his orbit is very, very richly rewarded, and long may that continue. Someone who isn't on Booktube any longer, Jason Harrigan of blessed memory, was also from Ireland, coincidentally. He had a whole pile of different Booktube channels that would appear and disappear, and they were fascinating. He was a rare book dealer by profession, and his videos were just incredible. He would sit down and just talk about what was on his shelf or what he was reading, and it was absolute magic. I've never seen it captured in just quite the same way, because what he was showing was stuff some stuff I was aware of and knew about, and other stuff is just completely alien to me. He seemed to collect a lot of esoteric and occult books, not something I'm particularly interested in, but yeah, he made it really, really fascinating. And talking about rare book dealing is interesting of itself. So Jason, if you're out there, hop back on Booktube for old time's sake. There's also Jennifer Jelenkova, who doesn't produce a lot of videos throughout the year, but for certain periods, what she started doing is producing like a season. I think she's just started another one now, and just I'm in awe of her analysis of books. She's like she really pierces into it. It's like a child touching a thistle. It just really hits to the core of what's going on. She slices across books in ways I've never seen. Just thoroughly impressed. And a lot of them wouldn't necessarily be books that I'd read, but yeah, the way she's able to critically assess them and kind of draw comparisons across them and how they're interlinked, particularly books on the First World War, which would be the closest to what I generally read. Although I haven't read a book on the First World War since 2018, I'd say, at least then. But yeah, brilliant. And then Alex, the unabashed reader. I think we are buying books. We're both big Kindle readers, and I think we're buying them off the same Amazon sales, because we seem to be reading a lot of the same books all the time. And he's got a very, very, very nice kind of screen presence, and seems to be a very affable person, and again reads really, really interesting books, much more close to what I'd read, and not always. I think the fiction is where we read very different fiction, but the non-fiction, there's been a huge amount of overlap, and the overlap, I think, does largely seem to coincide with Amazon deals where books are sold for like 99 cents or whatever it is in the UK. What challenges do you think starting a Booktube channel will be hardest to overcome? Yeah, the one that has actually been the hardest to overcome. Okay, there's been a few technical teething difficulties. The most difficult one was actually sitting in front of a camera and starting to talk. The one I found the most difficult was the level of preparedness. Because there does seem to, like, everyone has a different style. Not saying one is better than the other. People can produce brilliant kind of video essays on books, and yeah, they're terrific. And other people, like Steve Donoghue, can just sit down and talk contemporaneously and ex cathedra all at the same time, you know. So it's been, but anyway, for me the challenge has been finding that balance. I think I'd sit down beforehand, I'd jot down a few notes of what I want to say. That seems to be working okay for me. There's been, there's one video I think it's quite clear. I'm almost reading from my notes far too much in it. So that was a bit too far one way, but it was also very good to be that prepared. So kind of finding that balance of just talking to you and not talking nonsense to you, you know. So yeah, doing the little bit of homework beforehand, not hours and stuff, but just, you know, what is it I want to say. So like I've notes, a few little notes about how I wanted to answer these questions, not in paragraphs, but just bullet points and names where I've said I want to be able to name a person correctly. So, and also because I won't remember all the questions. Yeah, that's not done yet. When did you start reading? Oh, did we had that question? What book or series got you into reading? Yeah, I was, I guess, 7 or 8. I was a late reader. Apparently I got through the first few years of school not being able to read because I just had very, very good memory, and I just learnt the books. I could hear someone else reading it and I'd remember it. So everyone thought I could read from, you know, the children's little reading books that we used to have at school, but it was just that I'd memorised the stories. So yeah, maybe I'm still illiterate. I don't know. Where do you read? The absolute best place to read is on a bus if you have a regular commute. That's whenever I've had that, the reading has been off the scale. Other than that, on a couch or like many people in bed, on a nice day, I might drag one of the dining tables outside and read in the garden on a chair. I don't tend not to read in public places too much, other than buses and trains and that. I've worked in some places where I read on my lunch break. Might read. There've been times when I've just read in the morning before work. That's been that was in fact. Speaking of the short stories that's been going on, that's how I read the Ray Bradbury short story collection. I read a short story before starting work every day for however long that took. It was a nice way to start the morning. I don't do that anymore, or in any consistent way. I started doing that with the essays of Montaigne a couple of years ago, with the idea that I'd read them all by the end of the year. But you know, some of them are longer than others. Some of them you can rattle off in a morning. Some of them you just might be against the clock. But I did. A friend of mine knew I was doing this, and he also knew that I wasn't doing it as religiously as maybe I said I was going to do it. So I was like, well, how many stories do you need how many essays do you need to read to get to the end of the year? And I'd be like, oh, just one a day. And then it's just over one a day or 2 a day. Or by the end, it was like, I need to read the entire collection in the next 24 hours if I want to complete it. I didn't, but that might be a nice challenge for the winter if we ever get one. What kind of books do you like to read? Those that have some kind of subject or something to say that I find interesting, and those that are well written. Ideally, if they're both, and definitely the latter above the former. If it's well written, I'll read it before if it's interesting and not well written. I don't like. I used to read just whatever I could get my hands on, and now I've become a little bit picky. I don't know where you are, you can get those Wordsworth classic books. They're a cheap publishing house, kind of a, I think kind of a step down from Penguin in their quality. Probably a big. It's a reprint house, but the font was generally tiny and the paper was really thin. I think I have some nice ones somewhere that might be in somewhere else. But I mean, I read their abridged Decline and Fall of the Roman Empire for that one, and that was fine to read. But I don't know if I could handle the tiny font again. Yeah, that's the kind of books. I read a lot of non-fiction, a mixture of both. What I've tried to do is 60-40 either way. By the end of the year, I kind of go, how am I doing? And yeah, so long as the split is between 60% of the books I've read and 40% of the books I've read, I'm happy enough. I think not interested in being completely 50-50. So yeah, and they can be in either way. Some years I'll read more fiction than non-fiction. Most years I'd read more non-fiction than fiction, but I might need to double check that. And what does your book collection look like? Looks something like this. But again, some of these are my wife's, some are mine. A lot of these I haven't read. No, most of them I have. But most of my books will be on the Kindle. I read a huge amount. For the last few years, I've been reading almost entirely off the Kindle and off library books. So yeah, most of my books are on a little device. The other ones are here on the shelves that we've put up recently, and there's more in boxes upstairs. Maybe someday I'll do a video where I go through the boxes, because some of them I've forgotten they've been in storage for a long time. So I know when I was taking some things out, I was going, why did I buy this book? Who did I think I was? I thought this was the book that I would read. Other ones are like, oh yes, this was delighted to see this again. And I've books out with friends and that. And I mean, if you give the end of a book, you've given the book away. If it comes back, it comes back, but give it out again, But anyway, my name is David, and I hope you've enjoyed this Booktube Newbie video, hope to hear from you, and we'll see you. Bye bye.